If they pop in, of course, then, you know, we're not going to stop in the middle to catch them up. They're actually both my customers, so I can catch them up another time. All right, so let's talk about our agenda for today. So today's agenda, we're going to look at searching for the job you need to apply a work order to. We will review the losses tab within that job. We will create a manual work order. We will do the save and quick add work order, not the $ work order. I'm going to also show you how to use the XWOW feature, and that is the Xactimate work order wizard, and then how to send out your work order. So one thing to always keep in mind is I always recommend using Google Chrome for Restoration Manager, only because that's the optimal platform for you to use. However, you can use Mozilla Firefox, you can use Microsoft Edge, and you can use Internet Explorer, but you may not get that optimal performance. Additionally, a topic that I always bring up is based on your user role within Restoration Manager. If you are a user, you're only allowed to see your jobs in the system. If you are a power user, then you're allowed to see all jobs within your system. So if that needs to be different, you may want to talk to your admin at your office location to adjust that. So how do these work orders benefit me? Well, the way that I've used them in the past, and several other customers that we have used them, is they actually send those work orders out to subcontractors with a specified work area and work to be performed. So that's what we're going to show you today. You can send that out electronically, you can print it. So very beneficial in your industry, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into Restoration Manager. So we're going to begin searching for the job that you wish to work in for that manual work order. So here, or anywhere from Restoration Manager, you don't have to be on the home page. You have a search engine here right at the top right-hand corner. You have many options to search by. You can search by job address. You can search by phone number. You can search by job name. You can search by job contact, so that would be the primary contact for that particular loss. Those are my favorite. Those are my go-to because that's the information that I'm probably going to remember most. So typically I search by address, and I've typed in 5526. So just, you only need to type in minimal information here to actually find the jobs containing that information. And then I'm going to click the Go button. So here are the list of jobs with 5526 in the address. So I would need to choose the one that I wish to work in. Of course, I've got several selections here only because this is my training environment, and this is typically what I use for the address. This is actually the job that I'm going to work in. I'm going to double click to open it. And here, I'm going to go to my Losses tab. So here's the Losses tab. And then I'm going to double click on my loss to begin adding that work order. So here is my loss information, my KPIs, but here I'm going to click Save and Add Work Orders. So if I'm adding just one work order, I could very quickly identify the progress of the work order. So this may be already in progress, or you've scheduled the work already, or it could remain as new work order. There's a status of open and closed. You'll want to leave that open until that work order is completed. Your date of loss and date received. So this received date is today's date. Otherwise, you could select a different date if you needed to. However, you do want to select a due date. So for me, I would, if I were assigning this to a subcontractor, and let's say I'm on a deadline, I may need them to perform that service prior to a certain date. So I'm going to say that that work order is going to be due Tuesday the 31st. Could also identify whether or not it's an emergency. Otherwise, I would leave that unchecked. But my work order title, you may have several or a few handful of work order titles, and I'll show you what those look like, once we're about to send over that particular work order or print it. So yours may look a little different. I'm going to select the work order is due on, and it's going to pre-populate that July 31st due date for me automatically. If the estimator needed to be updated to someone else, you would be able to do that as well. If your work order becomes suspended, let's say that the work becomes on hold, you could suspend that work order until a specific time. Otherwise, you'd come down to this area and select the area of damage that this work order is going to be calling attention to, or that's the area that needs repaired. Could be multiple rooms throughout, or it may be a specific room that you would need to, let's say, come here and grab that room. You could also select the category of loss. So you may have several selections that you may want to make yourself aware of. I'm going to say that this is water damage. And then my subcategory would be what caused that water damage, or what's the purpose of the category. So what happened to cause that loss? I'm going to say that this is a toilet bath overflow. I could then come down and select the subcontractor that's already built into my system and select one of my contractors that's going to be performing, or even a technician. You can add technicians or in-house employees into your subs and techs as well. I'm going to say that this is I had a plumbing company that I just saw. There it is. So I'm going to select my sub, and then I'm going to type in the service that I wish for that subcontractor to perform. So you can I just need that person to repair the toilet line so mitigation can be performed. I'm going to name, date, and timestamp that as well. Some folks, that's mandatory, so you may want to check in your system to see whether or not it is.
Excuse me, Kathleen.
Yes, go right ahead.
Can you add a scope into this? Like a blank scope, if you know, attached from the estimate through Xactimate?
So you could, but we're going to talk about XWOW first, and then I'm going to show you how to, when,
Okay,
let me get this, no, you're fine. So I'm going to, when I get ready to email this or send this work order, so if I were to email it, I could make it or attach something to that. So absolutely.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, so it'd be an attachment to the email. You could do it that way.
So, correct.
All right.
So we'll go over that here in just a second. So next, you know, I've already may have had a phone conversation or an email conversation with my subcontractor to let them know when that needs to be performed by, and they have in their schedule that they can do that on the 31st. So I'm going to select the 31st, and it's going to, the system is going to ask me, would I like to update the progress? I'm going to click cancel because that's still, that's a ways away. Otherwise, you could click OK. The end date's going to remain the same for me. However, if it takes more than just one day, you can select the number of days that it's going to take for that work order to be performed. And I'm going to say that that plumber is going to be at that property from 9 to noon. So from there, I'm going to click Save. Helps if I click it hard enough. There we go. So once I've clicked Save, I can go right ahead and email that out or send that work order, and we'll discuss the difference. However, if I also needed to, let's say, create a budget, I could create a budget for their responsibility, what percentage, what dollar amounts they have a budget to work with. I could also add pictures to that work order if I needed to. You would simply click Choose File. And then I would identify the class of photo. So this is before repair. And do I want that to also print with the work order? And then, of course, I would need to upload that to that work order. You could also add documents to that work order as well. So here is where you could grab that scope. Now you would have to have that uploaded, you know, at your desktop. It's not going to pull it directly from Xactimate. However, if you were to click on New Document down here, let me scroll down so you can see it. New Document here. I'm going to, let's say, grab my scope of work. Give it a title and description. Going to select the folder, and I'm going to select the work order folder. I would then select that file, and I'm just going to grab something generic. I'm just going to grab that PDF. and then I'm going to upload it. Now, depending on the size of that file, it could take several seconds for that to load. That happened to be an actually large document, so I apologize for that. I wasn't aware that it was that large. I wouldn't have uploaded that one to take up this much time. But it should load here in just a second. Just make sure that you don't leave this page until that progress is completed. There we go. It's moving a little faster. All right, so that is now uploaded. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to click the back button. And then I have the opportunity to either send that work order. So when I click send work order, the email that is attached or in this particular subcontractor's profile, I can click send work order. The system asks me, are you sure? And then I would click OK. Now, I'm going to cancel that because I don't know whose email is attached to that. So I'm actually going to click email. So I can send this to myself and I don't confuse someone. Hey, what is this? You know what I mean? So here I could select, because the system's asking me, who would I like to email? A job contact, a sub or a tech, an employee, or other. So you could actually send that out externally if you don't know who that email needs to go to. I'm then going to type in my email address. And I could CC anyone that I wish, or in my subject line, I could put that work order information. Um, 731. I can select other attachments. And here I could grab that work order if I needed to. Here's my scope. I'm going to select it. Hope that clicked that. Okay, good. And then I can attach select documents to the email. And then, of course, I would want to email or type into the body of the email. So once you are finished with the body of the email, you can click send message. However, now when you click, and I'm just going to wait on this to finish, because I did this by using the email function, if I were to, let's say, use the automatic send work order button, that's already going to have that subject line populated with that work order due on 7/31/2018 with that attachment. So I kind of did it a little backwards, but you can do either way. And I'm just waiting on my system to refresh. There we go. And then I've already received my work order email, I believe. And let's go into my email. And there is my work order, as well as that scope of work, or that pretend scope of work. Then I'm going to show you how that work order looks. And I'm going to print it also so you can see it. So here is that work order. It's who it's to, the job contact information, of course, your header and logo, the type of loss, the job number, the insurance company, the office that it came from, the date received, the date it's supposed to start, and the date that it's due, the area, the category and subcategory, the project manager, the estimator with their contact information, and then the service that that subcontractor is to perform. This document also has the signature area here for the sub, project manager, and the job contact. So that could be your primary contact. And then the photo that I've attached as well. All right, so with that said, let's come back to, we got too many things open and going right now. So that's one way. You can also physically print that work order if you needed to. Of course, that's not sending it directly to my printer. It's actually opening up in another screen. And you have the option to email from this area, as well as physically print it or download it. So again, it's that same two-page document, one for the work order, the other for that photo. And I'm just going to go back using my breadcrumb feature. And we're going to go back into the detail of the work order. So once that work order is uploaded, or created, I should say, I'm now going to show you how to add multiple work orders at the same time. So here I'm going to go back and I'm going to click View Job to take me back to the detail page of this particular job. And we are going to go back into the Losses tab. This time, I'm going to double click on that actual loss to open it up. And I'm going to use the Save and Quick Add. So this looks a little different. Here, because I've already got two work orders already created, it's going to start out at work order number 3. I could very quickly select the damaged area, the category of loss, the subcategory. We'll use bats, that looks good. So I'm going to say that that is damage to the insulation and it needs to be replaced. Now, here's where it gets a little different. You could assign all of these work orders to one particular subcontractor. However, if you need that to go out to several different ones, you could make that individual selection here. So I'm going to say that that is Daniel's Construction. And then I would go on to make my selection here for my next work order. So yours may flow in, from your actual estimate. You've got somebody that's going to do the drywall. You've got somebody that's going to do the painting. you've got someone that's going to do the finished cabinetry or the hardwood floors, all for that same specific loss. You can do that here very quickly. So with that said, once I've made those selections, and I'm just going to finish this one out real quick. And I'm going to say biohazard because I also need someone to remove that insulation from the bathroom attic. And then I could also choose another company. And I'm just going to say that this is the, crew 1. And then I could save or save and view job to take me back to the job. But here I have save and add more work orders because this save and add work orders, that only allows you to do 10 at a time. So if you needed more work orders, you could enter more work orders here. All right, so I'm just going to save. And then, or I could go to save and view loss management and actually send out those work orders. So I could select my work order titles or select that particular work order to open that up and then send my work order from there. Of course, I would want to change my work order title if I needed to. I'm going to say that's escalated. Change my progress to new work order. Could assign the estimator or the job contact. But here, most importantly, is assigning your dates. And then, of course, putting in your due date. So this is the very first one. That one I had created back in June. And then I could just quickly send out that work order. However, if you were to go back into the job, and I'm just going to go back real quick. If you were to go back into the job level, I'll show you how that looks here. So here you can see what I've done. Instead of clicking on the loss to take me into it, I've actually expanded it where I see those 3 work orders that I've added today. And I could send those out individually. You may have paperwork or additional scopes that you want to send out included with that. So you could very quickly do that as well. So now I'm going to show you a different way to add a work order. I'm actually going to go into another job that has an estimate that has been pushed over from Xactimate into Restoration Manager. Is that how you guys are using Restoration Manager now, or will be?
I would think so. Probably will be.
Okay. So once that estimate has been pushed over to Restoration Manager for that job, you'll see a button that says Create Work Orders. So I'm going to click on Create Work Orders. Now remember, you're not going to see that button until that estimate is actually pushed over. So for me, you know, what I just showed you is all manual entry. However, the work order wizard or the XWOW is already pulling in your cost codes. It's already pulling in, you know, some information about that specific estimate, the areas of damage, what's being replaced or what have you. So here, and I'm just going to show you these drop downs. There's only one loss area or work order area. There's only one estimate. So I'm just going to click go. Typically, that's what's going to happen for you. So here I've already got one of these work orders created. If I needed to add to that, I could, but I'm actually going to do a brand new one for you. So I'm going to click add. Here's where I'm going to select my area of damage. And I'm going to say that this is the bath, the category of loss, and this is reconstruction, because this contains multiple facets of work, and I'm going to only assign this to one specific subcontractor. However, you can select multiple, and I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to say that this is structural repairs. I would select my sub or tech. So I'm going to say well, where is my there it is. So Cherry Hill Construction, when that work is to begin, I'm going to say it's going to begin on the 30th, and then it needs to end by, let's say, August 4th. And then I'm going to click Save. So here's where it gets really awesome, in my opinion. So from here, I'm going to select the work order that I wish to work in. If I need to add to that. Otherwise, I'm already in that work order. I'm going to select that work order number here. And I'm going to begin selecting all of the line items that need to be applied to this work order. So here I have actually 50 items in this specific estimate. And I'm going to go ahead and select those all. Or you could select just the ones that apply to that person or that subcontractor. So I would then go to the next page and select the rest, or select the additional ones that need to be assigned. And then I'm going to come up here and click Save. Oh, it didn't save my second page. I hate when that happens. Well, we'll just do a secondary work order. How's that? So here's my work order. I've saved it. I'm done with the line items. I'm then going to click this. This is typically I'm in staging. Typically what this says for you, it's a little different. This is a different style of training site. What this is going to say for you is budget, or it's going to say review. So I'm going to click, I could click create budget, and I could assign percentages on material, labor, equipment, other mileage, and apply those percentages, or change those percentages. However, one thing to keep in mind is, you see how I clicked on that? It's 0.6, so that's 0.6 will be 60%. So if it were, let's say, 0.3, that would apply at 30%. So very important to keep in mind. Otherwise, you could skip that budget portion if you wanted to. I'm then going to click Review. So everything looks good for that specific, those particular work orders, I should say. However, if there's additional items that you need to add, you do not want to click Finalize because that's the next step. You don't want to click Finalize until that work order is complete. I'm going to go ahead and click Finalize. The system warns me, are you sure you wish to do that? I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And it's calculating that work order for me. And now I'm going to go into my Losses tab. I'm just going to grab the work order I wish to work with. I'm going to expand this area. Here is the Cherry Hill construction. And it's going to show in the service area the line items and the hours that it should take, as well as, let's say, your lineal footage or square footage. So here's your tile. So it shows all of those line items and the area of repair directly from that estimate. So would that be more conducive to you, the way you do business, or would adding that scope of work be more efficient for you? Okay, so again, I can send work order, I can email the work order, or I could print the work order physically or email it from that print option. So next, let's make sure that I'm still on track. And if you would like for me to go over the XWOW again, I'm more than happy to.
No, that's good. I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So one thing that I do like to show is, because Intuitive Mobile for Restoration Manager also has the ability to create a work order as well. So you can do that in the field. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into Intuitive Mobile real quick. And I'm going to show you where that work order area is for that job as well. So I'm going to pick my location. Now the work order wizard is not available in mobile, but the ability to add a work order on the fly if you needed to, you would be able to do that. So 526, I'm going to search for that job. And here's the job that I wish to work in. If I were to come down to this area here, where I've got my clipboard, I could add and I could review the work orders that are already here. But if I needed to add a new one, I could select the area of damage, the category of loss. Let's say that's demolition, the subcategory. I could select from the drop-down an actual request if yours is built. However, that's up to the admin. Otherwise, you would type in what the request is, what service you need them to perform. So then I could also mark that as an emergency if I needed to. But of course, I want to select my sub or tech. Of course, I would really need to know who my subs and techs are. I'm sure you guys do, so that's shouldn't be an issue. Why isn't it not coming up Cherry Hill? Oh, it was Daniel's Construction. I could then also click Send Work Order, so it's going to send it. Otherwise, I'm going to click that green check mark, and it's going to ask me, would you like, and I'm just going to move this whole thing out of the way. It's going to say, after saving, would you like to continue to edit this work order? If you don't wish to, you can click Cancel. Otherwise, you would click OK to continue adding to that specific work order. You could add your dates when that work order needs to be scheduled and due. You can add an action, which is why it was completed. You could look at the appointment. So this is the review begins on. You could add photos to that specific work order. There's also a signature area. And let me scroll down to open that. So here's a signature area also for that work order. You can put in your date signed as well. Now this is only available on Intuitive Mobile, not Manage It Mobile as of yet. So just please keep that in mind. Otherwise, if I've made any changes, I need to make sure that I save it. Otherwise, I'm going to click the green check mark to take me back to the body of that job. So very quickly, you could add a work order to a job using mobile or Intuitive Mobile while you're in the field as well. All right, well, that is all I have today on work orders. I do want to thank you for your time and patience this afternoon. Should you have any further questions, your resources are, of course, the Restoration Manager University, then your system administrator at your local office. You can always contact your RM trainer at training@servicesoftwareinc.com, or our support staff if you're having technical difficulties at support@servicesoftwareinc.com. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you have a great weekend.
All right, Kathleen, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Hey, Susan.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, I caught the last 10 minutes, maybe.
Oh, that's all right.
Do you want me to go over it again for you, Susan? I've got a little bit of time.
Actually, it was going to be the second time I was watching it, so no. I mean, I'll be fine. I just wanted to